So a WNBA legend, a future Hall of Famer, gives an honest basketball take on a rising star, and the internet does what it does best. It absolutely loses its mind with fake outrage. But Candace Parker calling Angel Reese a C tier player isn't the real story. The real story is how the WNBA and a huge part of its fan base have become so fragile that they're allergic to the exact kind of criticism the league needs to grow. And this isn't about hate, it's about the uncomfortable truth that if you want to be treated like a major sports league, you have to handle major sports league conversations. And right now, the WNBA is failing that test. And let's cut through all the noise and get straight to the receipts. What did Candace Parker actually do? During a player ranking segment with Complex Sports, she was asked to sort top WNBA talent into tiers. She put superstars like Aja Wilson and Brianna Stewart into the top S tier. She placed established all stars like Sabrina Ionescu in the league's biggest ratings magnet, Caitlin Clark, in the A tier. And then she got to Angel Reese. Parker put her in the C tier. And predictably, the internet exploded. The word hater was thrown like it was nothing. But let's look at what Parker actually said because context changes everything. And she wasn't attacking Angel Reese or Reese's character or downplaying her potential. She was giving basketball analysis. And speaking on a podcast, which is her podcast, Parker doubled down, not with anger, but with simple logic. She listed the players she ranked above Reese, Aja Wilson, Brianna Stewart, Kaden Clark, Kelsey Plum, Sabrina Ionescu, Arike Agunwale, and asked a fair question. What player are you taking Angel Reese over of those that I just listed? And she went on to explain her reasoning. And she said, I think in terms of above, you have to be able to have the ability to carry your team. Be a one or a two option. I think Angel Reese is fantastic at her role, which is offensive rebounding, and she showed and demonstrated so much growth in that first year. But don't let me say it. Let's get to the clip, family. With no further ado, check it out.
Those that are commenting comments under random Instagram posts about me. I didn't even realize that I went viral for this until I realized when I was kind of getting alerts on my Instagram of people being like, you're a hater, da da da, all this and all that. To all of those, first of all, some are misinformed and uninformed. And I feel like in this day and age, we are very right now. A majority of people probably have not even seen the entire interview because we have attention spans like goldfish. And so they probably couldn't sit through the entire interview. But I say all that to say that we have to come to a place in women's basketball where we can critique without being a hater. And I challenge all of you all to understand that I in no way, shape, or form am a hater. I am going to bring facts to the table. And with that being said, the facts that I want to bring to this table, and I challenge anybody to tell me, what player are you taking Angel Reese over of those that I just listed?
Guess we'll wait for their response.
Oh, we're not going to. Okay.
Because
yeah.
I'm sorry.
But what I'm saying is, in what player, and this is no disrespect, these are the greatest players in the game right now. They asked me to rank the tier right now. And I sit in a studio at Turner with Shaq and Chuck, and some of which I think at times they do individually and personally attack people's character. And I think I pride myself on trying to be an analyst that does not do that. I do not attack character. I literally am just, from my point of view, from my opinion, this was the ranking. And so I ask again, are you taking Angel above Paige? Are you taking Angel above Arike? Are you taking Angel above Sabrina or Kelsey or Caitlin or Asia or Nafisa or Brianna? No, that does not make her a bad player. That does not make me a hater. Do I think she could be up there? Yes. Do I think she can be at S eventually in her career and her evolution and what she's added to her game from her rookie season to now? Absolutely. Is she there now? No. And this is in no way, shape, or form hating. So,
And family, just to add a little bit more context, Candace Parker, this is her podcast called Post Moves. The podcast which premiered today, July 30th, the dropping of this video that I'm doing. And it's going to feature new episodes every Wednesday. And she started off with Aaliyah Boston on her first video, right? So I like what she said in regards. She doesn't attack character. She looks at it from a basketball perspective, and she just speaks the facts. I can't get mad at that. I actually agree. I agree with everything she said. And she doubled down, speaking on the podcast, Parker doubled down with simple logic. Like I said, this wasn't a personal shot. This was a basketball assessment from one of the greatest to ever do it, who also noted that Reese has the potential to climb those tiers. Parker was evaluating Reese on her current role and comparing her to NBA MVPs and champions. And this isn't hate, it's called analysis. It's what happens every single day in every other major sports league. See, it reminds me of with this WNBA, right? This basketball league, the WNBA. And this is what I'm gonna give you. I'm gonna give you an analogy to simplify this, right? Because I like to speak it from a childlike perspective. Just imagine a guy, right, and a girl. They in a relationship. And obviously they don't think alike. So the female is more prone to be a more emotional based, and the man is to be more logical. That's why in the traditional roles, it was always a God over man, man over woman, woman over children, and the man was the head of the household because he made logical decisions. And of course, he incorporated his woman into the conversation so they had an understanding, because what's understand don't need to be explained. But also the ultimate decision came down to the man because he looked at all of the options, all of the resources, and thought from a long term perspective. Because we know that from a woman's standpoint, being so illogical, being so emotional and not logical right away, they are prone to be more emotional, being present in the moment and not looking at the long term effects of decisions, right? And this league, resorting into this league and tying into this WNBA league, the thing is, when you have women that are not looking at things from a long-term perspective. They're so focused in the now that they look like high school women basically playing in a professional basketball league to the elite level, but they're acting like high school brats entitled with the simple fact of not backing up, being able to substantiate their points when it comes to, especially when it comes to their salaries and the bargaining agreement, and them wanting to get paid what they're owed, but they have not been profitable enough to even be owed anything. Because if that's the case, they should be sent invoices every game for the simple fact of how much they owe the league, aka the NBA owners, aka the owners that is part of the NBA franchise, which is the men's league that have been backing this women league. Because obviously, ultimately, the NBA owner is the one that is part of creating and backing this franchise by pumping loads of money to make the WNBA even still be existing today. Because the owners understand the business perspective of it, let alone the long-term perspective of it. And these players, their job is entertainment, but they're not entertaining because they're so focused on what they want in the now. It's like having a selfish girlfriend who only sees their side in the relationship, but not the long-term effects of how her decisions could be damaging a good relationship. But the man see the long-term part of it, and he like, look, man, we need to get our emotions out of it. We need to think more objectively, and we need to actually have conversations that is productive with solutions. But she keep talking about her wants and keep talking about based on her emotions, and then you wonder why the relationship keep getting damaged. So now take this to the WNBA from a simple childlike C student perspective. When you have the NBA owners, which is the boyfriend being logical, but then you have the girlfriend, which is the WNBA players, sitting here worrying about being entitled, and the NBA owner, which is the boyfriend, like, look, we can't even get to being objective and making solutions that is long term, that is logical, because the simple fact is you keep making self-inflicted wounds, which is damaging this whole thing, which is why it's not profitable. Right? So now when you tie it to Candace Parker, who is the rare out of the bunch, who's very objective, very factual, and could give her analysis and speak from a fact standpoint, she's considered a threat because this is an entitled league full of spoiled brats. And in the rest that is currently playing in the league don't know how to be objective. And I'm speaking to the majority, not the minority. Not the Caitlin Clarks, because she do her job and she's a team player. She's competitive. She go out there. She don't act out. She don't do none of that. Even though they come at her and she's the one that's putting food in their mouths, you know. But This was a basketball assessment. So, of course, on social media, nuance goes to die. The reaction was as predictable as it was absurd because fans immediately accused Parker of being a hater, jealous, and trying to tear down a younger player. And Angel Reese seemed to respond with a cryptic post on X. And I actually can try to pull that up now. And I should pull it up. Actually, I should have had it already up. But let's look at Angel Reese Angel Reese post on X, formerly known as Twitter. Because I did see it. And it said something about clout. 1 second, family. She said clout is one hell of a drug. Like, it really gets to a point. This was widely seen as a shot at Parker, suggesting the legend was just using her name for clicks. And some fans went even further, with one popular repost claiming Parker was bitter because a younger star was breaking her records and landing brand deals. Let's be real. This reaction is completely detached from reality of professional sports. This is a conversation about an athlete's current skill set, not their brand deals. The immediate jump to accusations of clout chasing just shows a deep-seated fragility, right? Instead of debating the actual basketball argument and substantiating her point, is Angel Reese a top 2 option on a championship team right now? The whole thing turned into a soap opera. This incident highlights the bigger problem perfectly. We see it constantly because a fan was even ejected from a game for mocking a player whose wig fell off. And I'm talking about Khalil Copper on the Phoenix Mercury. I did a video on that. Go check it out. While taunting can go too far, this level of sensitivity makes an honest conversation impossible because the league and its defenders want NBA level respect, but they seem to want none of the scrutiny that comes with it. And you know the whole thing of we should get paid as men. We should get treated equally and have the visibility as the men players in the NBA. But the thing is, the men players in the NBA understand that they get into that bag. And from a logical sense, if it's not harming nobody and putting nobody in harm's way and being dangerous, we are doing it in regards of entertaining individuals so they can keep coming back so we can get money and profit and also put money in our pockets and making this league profitable because it's all a business. So you want the WNBA want the same equality as the NBA, but don't want to operate as of. That's like saying a woman want equal pay as men, but they don't want to go through the same scrutiny. Well, you can't have one without the other. With more money come more problems, right? Ain't that the saying? So to understand just how ridiculous this backlash is, you have to remember who Candace Parker is. This isn't some random talking head trying to get famous. This is a basketball royalty. We're talking about a 3-time WNBA champion, a 2-time league MVP, a finals MVP, and a lock for a first ballot Hall of Famer. And she has more than earned the right to have an opinion on basketball. Now, I want to get to this whole thing because not only did she stand on business, but it's not like she hasn't said this before because she has said this in regards of regurgitating the same thing on her stance on the Dwayne Wade podcast. Check it out.
I'm big on within the women's game of basketball. I don't think that there's enough scrutiny about our play. Hear me out. Okay. As a woman, because the game has been attacked so much by people sitting in their basement that can't dunk a donut, let alone a basketball. They're the ones that have driven the narrative that nobody watches women's sports. So many people have become protective of the game of basketball that they cannot take criticism, that nobody's allowed to criticize the game. But guess what? I want to criticize on the first morning show. Is D-Wade is he gonna get to the basket? Is he gonna get to the free throw line? Or is he gonna settle for the catch and shoot, which is what the Spurs want y'all to do, right? But you can't do that in the women's game. But there's also a line where if a woman makes a mistake, then they're like, go make a sandwich in the kitchen, go do this. I'm cool if you attack my words and my play, but when you start attacking what I should be doing of making sandwiches and being in the kitchen, to me is like, that is crazy.
Well, the thing is, you know how they say you can't stand the heat So get out the kitchen. That's what most individuals are shooting for, and I advocate for it as well in regards of having that stance. Look, the WNBA can be so profitable, could be so amazing, and it's amazing sport, and it's phenomenal women with phenomenal skills. I'm not denying that. I even got interested in WNBA more so because of Caitlin Clark, and now I'm expanding my repertoire and actually getting into more players like Enrique. We talking about, of course, I like Aaliyah Boston. We talking about Sabrina Nescu, Brianna Stewart. I was looking at Kennedy Carter play. She should be on the team right now. I think the Dallas Wings should have kept her. Um, and so forth, et cetera, et cetera. But my point is, if you can't stand the heat, get out the kitchen. The reason why the NBA is so profitable because the men understand from a logical business perspective, and also the business also keeps the players in check, holding them to a standard to also have professionalism, but understand that you have to prioritize the fans just as much as you prioritize the sports because the fans is what makes this whole thing what it is. It's your customer. You can't tell the customer, say what I like to hear and be biased in regards of saying what I want you to say. And I only agree with you when you say something I like. And as soon as you don't, you're not a fan no more. And I don't care if you support me or not, but you want equal pay as the NBA, or you want higher salary, or you want the same level of respect. It just don't go that way. Right? Because at the end of the day, your haters be the one that stick around the most. So even though in the NBA and the men's league understand that, like she said, is Dwayne Wade going to get to the basket? Most of the men in the men's league in the NBA, they laugh at that stuff. You know why? When they look at all the controversial takes with Stephen A. Smith and all that, because that engagement only creates more spark. It only creates more thrill and more eager to can't wait to watch the game to see what's going to happen and the spontaneous entertainment that comes with it. Because the pure entertainment is you don't know what's going to happen. Your heart is pumping, the adrenaline is going. You're so excited, man. D Wade might do this, AI might do this. Allen Iverson, we don't know what Kobe might do. He might shoot up from the three, and rest in peace, Kobe. But you get my point. It creates the more excitement because now it gets your mind racing and you can't wait to get to that moment to see that game in person or watch it on TV or whatever the case may be. Because at the end of the day, attention is currency. The WNBA cannot hold the attention of individuals to even watch the WNBA All-Star game. And we'll get to that in a minute with Candace Parker. Because Candace Parker, a legend herself, a part of the WNBA league, couldn't even withstand watching the whole WNBA All-Star. And that says a lot. That says a lot, family. So they have to understand attention is currency. And the NBA understands that and they market that. They put polls to engage with fans. Even when the fans are laughing and the criticism, they love it all because good or bad criticism, it keeps the name going. It keeps the player going. It keeps the business as a whole, the NBA going because people keep talking about it. If they're not talking about you, then you ain't doing nothing big, right? What they say, if you ain't got no haters, you ain't popping. If they ain't talking about you, you ain't popping. So it's free marketability when it comes to the NBA because if they still talking about it and have a conversation and controversial takes, then that keeps individuals engaged to want to keep watching the game to make more money from the attention that the consumers are giving it based on viewership, based on attendance, putting butts in seats. And then they go nationwide and the NBA does a phenomenal job. And I know the NFL is trying to keep up, kind of catch up. But the NBA done a very good job when it came to playing games across seas in Africa and whatever the case may be, having NBA games in other countries to expand their repertoire, let alone expand their fan base to create more money with that attention and currency. All the WNBA has to do is learn the game from the NBA. The same way the NFL is trying to expand and have little football games in the beginning of the season outside the country. Last year, didn't they have the Eagles play somewhere? Let me check. The Philadelphia Eagles in the NFL, they played outside the country. When did they play? They had an international game. One second, family. Because I got to substantiate my point. They played. Let me see. I think it was last year. Give me a second. The Philadelphia Eagles, they had a preseason exhibition game, right? And they played in 2018 or 2024. They played in the Arena Corinthians in Brazil. And that was literally versus the Packers. And they won 34 to 29. Right? This was their international series. You can't you gotta expand it. And that's the only way this WNBA is going to be able to survive. Right? So they played in the London games. I mean, they played in Brazil. So when you look in 2024, see, Arena Corinthians in Sao Paulo 2024-2025. That's when they played in the Wembley Stadium in London. Okay? So the WNBA has a lot of catching up to do, is my point. But let's get to the Candace Parker speaking about the All-Star.
So to see where women's basketball has grown now is a testament to, I think, just the league in general and the investment in the league and what it can bring about. So I think it was one of the best All-Star games for I won't say All-Star games because the game, I'm going to be honest with you, Leah, it was awful. But
what do you mean?
The actual game? Are you kidding me? What you mean? What do I mean?
The vibes were high.
Leah, y'all, and hey, listen, I'm going to tell you, you don't have to say anything. So I'm going to preface, I'm going to be your vet. Don't say anything. But y'all cannot come out there with those shirts of pay us what you owe us. Or pay us what you owe us. And then do that in the All-Star game.
Here's the thing, though.
Here's the opportunity. No,
here's the thing. No. Here's the thing.
I'm gonna let you finish, and then I'm gonna come back.
We come out every single night, and we show why we deserve the money we deserve. An All-Star game where when we have another game in 2 days, I think that is okay to just go out there and hoop and have some fun. Because on Tuesday, we were back at it and we were playing and we were showing once again why we deserve to get paid. Like, I don't understand. I don't understand.
It wasn't the fact that you're doing something to prove why you have to be paid. I think it was just an opportunity to me on one of the biggest stages with those shirts being worn. Everyone always talks about how the NBA does not play in All-Star games. But guess what? They come down, they do windmills. They do stuff like that, right? Women, I understand that it is challenging. You all were added 4 to 5 games more this season without compensation, which is unfair. But I think on one of the biggest stages with people tuned in an all-star setting that was invested in more than any other all-star game previously, without Caitlin Clark, right? She was not playing. I think it was an opportunity to really go out there, and it was an added opportunity. It's not going to subtract anything, but I think the narrative on Monday would have been, well, how come the guys don't play in the All-Star game? How come these ladies come out there and they hoop and they understand their responsibility? Like, I just think that it would have really maximized the moment of wearing the shirt along with giving the product. Because I tried to watch the All-Star game, I'll be honest. But after one slow Euro step and people pulling up for them, I was like, I can't. I'm a fan of the WNBA and I can't watch this. So I just think that, no, you all didn't have to, but I think it was an opportunity that you could have built on, like, more momentum, if that makes sense.
No, it does. It does make sense. But live, laugh, and love. and that's
you know, it made perfect sense. Candace Parker, her entire career is a masterclass in excellence in basketball IQ. She's not just a player, she's an analyst who has been pushing for more serious play-focused critique in the women's game for years. Parker has argued that the WNBA is often shielded from the tough analysis male athletes get. And this protection, even if it's well intentioned, holds the leagues back. Because without criticism, constructive criticism, you cannot grow. Because you can't see to take the speck out of your own eye to know what things to fix. Because at the end of the day, you're so stuck in your ways. As she said herself, we have to come to a place in women's basketball where we can critique without being a hater. And here's the painful irony. The very person who has been calling for legitimate basketball criticism offers a piece of it and is immediately branded as a hater. And what makes it even crazier is that Angel Reese herself has called Candace Parker the GOAT, saying she's always respected CP3 and tries to model her game after hers. So which is it? Is Parker a legend to be learned from or a clout chasing hater the second she offers a critique that isn't pure praise? And this whole episode points to a much bigger problem: the WNBA's culture fragility. For the league to take the next step into the mainstream, it needs to grow a thicker skin. In the world of the NBA, ESPN, and Fox Sports, players are broken down, criticized, and ranked daily. Can you even imagine the meltdown if Stephen A. Smith or Skip Bayless, which we know he's not on the network, he's doing his own podcast, but Skip Bayless, who is highly known, gave a WNBA player a C grade? The league would be demanding a public apology. And this protective bubble doesn't help the athletes, it helps them. It's like enabling bad behavior with a child. It treats them not as elite professionals and holding them accountable to a standard, but as people who need to be shielded from the very pressure that forges legends. Honest critique isn't hate, it's a sign of respect. It means your game is being taken seriously enough to be debated. By treating every criticism as a personal attack, the league's defenders are infantilizing the very players they claim to support. The desire to protect the league from genuinely unfair or misogynist attacks is valid, but in the process, a culture has been built where all criticism gets labeled as bigotry or hate. And you can't demand a billion dollar revenues and primetime TV slots of the NBA while also demanding a safe space from the commentary that drives engagement in those leagues. Like I mentioned, conflict and debate are the fuel that powers the 24/7 sports media machine. If the WNBA wants a bigger piece of the pie, it has to be willing to be on the menu. So, what's your take? Was Candace Parker's critique a fair basketball analysis, or was she out of line? Let me know in the comments. Is the WNBA too soft, or fans right to defend their stars so fiercely? Drop your thoughts and don't forget to like and subscribe for more real takes on sports. All right? So, let's set the feelings aside. Before I do that, I want you guys to see in regards of Candace Parker and Aaliyah Boston speaking about Caitlin Clark and the ratings without her being on
Can
the
you
court.
say the difference is playing with her in the lineup versus playing without her?
Yeah, I think when you have Caitlin on the floor, everything is automatically spaced. The floor is spaced. Defenses are like high end because she comes across half court. You can set an early drag, and there's a deep three going up, and there's a great chance she's making it, right? And when she's not on the floor, then obviously it can shrink it a little bit. But I think for us, it's about making sure we get to that second side, that third side, because when you have Kelsey coming downhill fast, going to that left hand. And then you have Sophie Cunningham and Lexi on the wing being able to spray and knock down for three. It opens up the entire floor. And then obviously that works for the post because they're going to be afraid to double. They're going to be afraid to dig too much because you have shooters all around the perimeter. And so it definitely shrinks a little bit, but I think we've just figured out different ways.
Can you say the difference is playing?
So they figured out different ways. All right, so let's set the feelings aside and look at the actual evidence. Angel Reese is an incredible rebounder and plays with a passion that's impossible to ignore. But Parker's point was about being a primary offensive weapon. And Reese's game is often called ugly but effective. And she has been critiqued for things like poor layup fundamentals. While her double-double stats are impressive, it's fair to ask if they consistently lead to winning at the highest level. Now, let's contrast this with the Caitlin Clark phenomenon. This isn't about pitting them against each other, it's about understanding different kinds of impact. While Reese drives social media conversation, Caitlin Clark drives revenue and ratings like we never seen. And when an injured Clark was out for the 2025 WNBA All-Star game, the ratings took a major hit. Her regular season games often get more views than the All-Star game itself. Incredibly, even Indiana Fever games where Clark doesn't play still outrate other league matchups, which shows she has built a loyal team fan base, not just a personal one. And the numbers don't lie. And this isn't to say Reese isn't a star, she is, but the league's tangible growth, the metrics that lead to a new media deals and higher salaries, is overwhelmingly tied to the Caitlin Clark effect. The Parker Reese debate feels like a sideshow compared to the main event of Clark's transformative impact. It is a perfect microism of the WNBA's growing pains, a clash between social media drama and the hard data backed reality of what actually grows a sports league. So here's the bottom line. The WNBA is at a crossroads. One path leads to it becoming a major mainstream sports league with all the glory and brutal, unfiltered criticism that comes with it. That path requires everyone, players, fans, and media, to mature and to tell the difference between the real analysis and actual hate. And the other path is the one it's on now. It's a path walled off by hypersensitivity, where every critique is an attack and every controversy is about social media drama instead of on court substance. And that path might feel safer, but it's a dead end. It will limit the league's growth, push away new fans who are used to how other sports are covered, and ensure the WNBA stays a niche product defined by its fragility instead of its fire. The choice is theirs. Do they want to be talked about like the elite professional athletes they are, or do they want to stay in a protective bubble, shielded from the very pressures that creates legends? The future of the league can very well depend on that answer. On that note, family, catch you in the next one. Peace.